Welcome, Hudson Valley, to this week's edition of In Touch, the public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. Happy New Year! Thank you for spending your new year getting in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. We hope you had a terrific holiday season and that this new year brings much to be enjoyed. This week's guests are Maribel Vargas and Dewey from the Road to Recovery program. Road to Recovery offers free transportation for cancer-related medical appointments. We talk about how the program works, the bonds that are formed through it, and the complications caused by the winter weather. We invite you to join us and listen to a previously recorded conversation between Maribel, Dewey, and myself here on In Touch. Hello, Hudson Valley. You're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's public affairs and issues program. We have a great episode for you to kick off the new year. Yes, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody is safe and well. New Year's resolutions, please don't give up on them too quickly. Give it a good shot this year. Again, we got a great episode to start off 2023. We are talking about the Road to Recovery, and with us today, I have Maribel Vargas, Cancer Support Strategic Partnership Manager. That is a mouthful. And then we have Dewey, who is a driver for Road to Recovery. Maribel, Dewey, how are you guys?
Real good.
Very good. Thank you.
Really happy to have you guys here. I love working with the American Cancer Society. It's meant something to me for years. I've had a number of family members impacted by cancer. I've had a number of family members, unfortunately, we lost from cancer. And back in college, I was a really big volunteer with the Capital Region, and I'm excited with the little work that I've already gotten to do with the Hudson Valley region, which is ironic being my hometown that it's taken this long, but it's really exciting. So the Road to Recovery is a really interesting program that is able to help so many people in the Hudson Valley. And Maribel, if you could just tell us what exactly is the Road to Recovery for all those listening.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. At the American Cancer Society, we really think that health equity is important. We want to provide the resources for the community. And transportation is one of the big roadblocks for people. We know that when people go into treatment, one of the side effects is not able to drive. And transportation, is a huge issue in the community. The transportation for having public transportation sometimes is not available for everybody. And when we go to different places and different locations, it's really hard. The Road to Recovery program looks to provide free transportation for patients who are going to treatment. And it's really very easy to go. You can call our 800 number. The phone number is 1-800-227-2345. And once you connect with us, we are able to provide the transportation. The Road to Recovery program is a program that helps to provide the transportation that many people and caregivers need for going to their daily treatments.
No, fantastic. Now, you said with the Road to Recovery, that's something that probably a lot of people don't realize when it comes to the treatments where you're not able to drive after some of these. Could you list a few of the things that people would be doing, such as chemo, that would prevent them from driving after their treatments?
Of course. When people are going through the chemotherapy, we know that one of the side effects is not able to drive or coordination or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they are not able to drive, of course, and that's why this program is so important. And the same, we want to really help the caregivers. We know sometimes the person who lives with them, they go to the city or they are not able to drive them. And that's why this program is so important for the community.
No, truly. So what is the range that Road to Recovery works for? What's the kind of range that people who are listening is like, oh, I'm so out of the way. There's no way that they could possibly get to me. What's that kind of range that people can expect when it comes to Road to Recovery?
That's what's so important to have different drivers in every community because we want to be sure that we can connect all the different towns. We can have people, once I remember last year, we had a patient who was coming from Albany and they were going to New York City.
Oh, wow.
It was a really huge drive, but we were able to connect 3 drivers together and somebody from Albany dropped them to the Hudson Valley and the Hudson Valley to Westchester and another person from Westchester to the city. I mean, we really want to provide this program nationwide, and there is no frontiers, like if you are from Connecticut or the patient is from New Jersey. I mean, it depends on how much the driver wants to drive, and there is no barriers regarding like the distance. I mean, we're going to try to do our best to meet the patient's need and try to coordinate the rides. But we know that this is a big challenge in the Hudson Valley because we don't have the public transportation we need. And having a taxi daily is so expensive, right?
Oh, yeah.
Then we want to be sure that when somebody needs a ride, we can provide the ride for them.
And just to make sure that everybody out there knows this is free, right? This is free that these patients get.
Yes, and we don't ask anything. We don't ask about like what is the status of your insurance, or if are you an immigrant, or if you have a different age, or your gender, we don't ask like any questions that you might feel uncomfortable. I mean, the only thing is that we try for treatments.
No, that's incredible. And that's really cool to hear about that story from Albany where it was a whole link. But that really goes into the fact that you said that this whole thing is a community, that the American Cancer Society, Road to Recovery, all these drivers, everybody involved, it's a community. That's really cool just to be able to think of. It was like, okay, I'll drive this far, to drive this far, and drive this far to make it all work, make it all possible for these people. That's incredible. Now, we have somebody with us here today who makes that possible. Well, actually, we have two. Maribel, you're a driver, correct?
Yes, correct.
And I would love to hear about your experiences in a moment, but let's pass it over to Dewey for a second. Dewey, again, thank you so much for coming on. So Road to Recovery is really cool. How long have you been a driver for Road to Recovery?
I think about between 5 and 7 years. I'd have to look at my records. I just can't recall.
Terrific. So then what got you into Road to Recovery? What was the thing that inspired you to become a driver?
I would have to say, and I realize this gets a little bit philosophical,
That's
I'm
fine.
I'm a follower of Jesus. And when I read the Bible, I see the two greatest commands. Number one, love God with all of your heart, soul, and mind. And number two, love your neighbor as yourself. In my calculation, I see this as an opportunity to love my neighbor as I love myself. That's the simple answer.
That's beautiful, honestly. And just to be able to take care of your fellow neighbor and just have that sense of fulfillment from helping out and feeling that purpose from a higher power. That's beautiful. So you've been doing this for about 5 to 7 years now, which has been really cool. What would be some of the most impactful moments of driving people? We don't need to get into like where exactly you're driving, but like what's the longest distances that you've driven to make things possible for patients?
I've driven as far as Memorial Sloan Kettering from the Hudson Valley, and I've driven somebody to Boston.
Oh, wow.
Mass General, I think it was. So, yes, I've once in a great while, I realize it's a whole day thing, but yes, I have driven that far.
Wow, incredible. So one thing about Road to Recovery is the flexibility that is offered in working for it. It's not just the flexibility for the patients, but also the flexibility for the people, who are driving. We were talking for a moment off the mic, and you wear a lot of hats in the community. You're very busy in your own life, and still you manage to get this in. What is that like out of everything that you still manage to get this in while you're performing everything in your daily life? Could you tell us a little bit about that Road to Recovery / regular life balance?
Sure. When I started, there was nothing done online. I remember just getting phone calls and saying, Dewey, can you drive from here to there? It's a 3-hour gig, whatever. And either yes or no. Once they went online, had the little bit of nervousness. All right, how is this going to work? It has been beautiful.
Really?
Many reasons. Number one, it gives you, when you go online and look at the opportunities, it gives you the information such as where the pickup is. Exactly, it gives you the address, where the destination is, how long the patient expects to be there, whether it's a 10-minute treatment or a 3-hour treatment. It tells you, it just gives you all the details you need to decide, do I want to take this on to drive this person? Another beauty of it is that you can do either one way or round trip, and which is great because, to be honest with you, if I pick up somebody for a 3-hour gig, there's chances are I'm not going to do the return trip. I'm just going to take the person one way and say, I can't wait for 3 hours or keep myself busy for 3. So somebody else is going to have to pick it up on the other end, which is fine. Generally, the treatments that I've done are between 10 minutes and an hour, which works great. Another great thing about this is that you can pick and choose your drives, your rides, up to maybe like 24 to 48 hours before. As you said, I'm very busy, and a lot of times my schedule is very changing, it's very flexible. So it's great for me to go, oh, okay, I think I can do something, tomorrow or the day after. Let me see what's available. Who needs a ride? And then you just go online, you just see something, you go, oh, I can do that one. So it works really, really well with busy people. But if you're not so busy, you can fill up your whole day doing this. It's up to you.
That's incredible. I really like that. It sounds like it is more. It sounds like it's better organized than like an Uber or a Lyft situation. So that's really cool, and it adds a sense of comfort to those that you're taking care of, which is fantastic. You're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's public affairs and issues program. Right now, we are talking with Maribel and Dewey with the American Cancer Society's Road to Recovery. We've been talking about how important it is for patients to be able to have transportation to and from their appointments, and we're just kind of getting like a point of view of the drivers. Dewey was telling us about the wonderful experiences that he has had with driving people. Now, Maribel, you were telling us before about more of the program as a whole, but you're a driver as well. How long have you been driving people?
Yeah, I have been driving like around 5 years also, but I mean, I just really want to say how easy it is to become a driver. I mean, you can just go through the 800 number, or you can go to our website and you just complete that 3 hours online training. I mean, you could do it in your home. I mean, you just put play and you just listen to the training, and then just send an application, and that's it. I mean, of course, you need to be 18 years or older and to have a car and to complete the application, and we're going to run a quick background check. But once you have all that, I mean, you are ready to drive, and you will be able to provide ride in your community, wherever you are. I mean, on your way to, after you drop your children at school, or after during your lunchtime. Now, if you are working from home, or I mean, whatever flexibility you have, I mean, this is like, and some of the centers are providing ride treatments on Saturdays. I mean, this is something that if you are working and you are still interested, I mean, a Saturday could be an option. But it's very easy to become a driver, and it's so rewarding. I really love when I open the door of my car and I have a patient coming in, and they share their stories, and they are so grateful. And it's just a beautiful experience being a driver. And it's very easy to be a driver, and we need drivers. Please, if you have any time who you are listening and you are finding something to do as a new resolution for this year, please, I mean, think about like becoming a driver, and give us like just maybe 2 rides a month. That's very easy. We are asking. And if you have any questions, please feel free to call our 800 number, and you can have all the answers you might need about the program or about the process. But it's just so rewarding to help somebody from our community go into a very difficult situation when it's transportation.
No, absolutely. And I love what you said there. Great for New Year's resolutions. Those who are looking to help get out in the community, if they're looking to donate something, donate their time, donate their car in this case. And thank you for explaining how to become a driver. I was going to ask that. That's just part of your afternoon right there. That's not that bad. Just to be able to become a driver, that's sounds easy enough. Why not? One thing that I'm curious about, just because something is going on in one region and you live in another area, let's say I live in Dutchess County, and I know I'm going to be in, I don't know, Sullivan County one day, but then I'm going to have a little extra time. It's like, just because I'm not for that region, that doesn't hold me back from taking a call one of those days, correct?
Yes, actually, I mean, most of the rides that patients need are usually between counties, and Sullivan County is one of where we have a big cancer center there.
Oh, I'm glad I said that one then.
And actually, we ask a lot. We have a lot of requests actually between the counties because transportation is an issue, and it's so hard and so far many times just to cross between counties and actually between states. I mean, we have people from New Jersey, we have people from Connecticut. I mean, people from upstate. I mean,
Dewey, you mentioned Massachusetts. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, there is no frontiers, and the reason is because there are more than 200 different types of cancers. And we know that some cancers are very common, maybe like breast cancer or colon cancer. I mean, and it's very easy to find treatment close home. But when we talk a very weird, rare type of cancer, I mean, it's very hard to find treatment sometimes close to home.
Yeah.
And you really need to go to other centers where they have new treatments or clinical trials that they are so important to have. And you really want to be part of that. But in order to participate, you need to drive there. And it's very far away sometimes. That's why it's so important to really have these programs that can help the community.
No, terrific. One thing that we've experienced already with December is that the weather can change in an instant. And the weather can be bad. We just got snow not that long ago with, depending on the region, we were anywhere between 3 to 6 inches. Anything can happen in regards to the weather. So this is a question for really both of you, if you guys feel like you have an answer for this. What have you guys seen in the years of driving with the winter months as things are getting harder to drive and get around? What is that like for the patients? What is that like for you? Do you see an uptick in requests? Is there something in particular that people who are interested in this should keep in mind for the winter?
Well, certainly it can get dicey out. Personally, if I think I'm going to be in danger, my wife and I, we insist, you know what, it isn't worth it to put myself in danger and the person I'm trying to give a ride to in danger.
Absolutely.
By getting into an accident. So I can remember once or twice where I actually canceled out at the very last moment because of the weather. So they just have to reschedule, and hopefully we can take care of them next time. Flexibility is the key.
Yeah.
We're not going to go crazy on this. So that's the answer.
Understandable. Maribel, do you have anything to add on?
Of course, yeah. I mean, and I think it works for there is different situations. Of course, if there is a small ride, I mean, people might feel comfortable because they know their area and that is something local, maybe a 10-minute ride or 15-minute ride. They might feel comfortable doing it, which is fine. And if somebody is, depending also where do we live, right? And how far is the ride? And I live, for example, in a huge cliff. I mean, they don't clean it. Then, of course, I cannot even go to my groceries, right? Because it's really hard for me to get in and out. But, I mean, the centers are very flexible too about the radiation centers. If the patient doesn't feel safe, I mean, they can reschedule for a later time or skipping one. I mean, I think with the weather is something affects everybody. We get some requests, of course, during all different times. I mean, winter is a specific time where we get more requests because the weather, as you mentioned, but we also very careful about the safety of the volunteers and the patients, and safety is first. And also the centers are very good collaborating with the patients and with us regarding the rights.
No, that's good. It was something like that with the weather. I was just driving around the other day and I was slipping and sliding on the roads. And that's just myself, of course. It's like, so you got to worry about yourself. You got to worry about everybody else on the road. And then if you have a patient with you, that's a lot of liability that you have on your hands. And I'm glad that we're talking about this. You're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's Public Affairs and Issues program. We are talking with Maribel and Dewey about the Road to Recovery program. It's an incredible program that helps out cancer patients get to and from their treatments. So with several minutes left, I really wanted to talk about the bonds and connections that can be possibly made through this. Is there a way that people can actually request drivers, or have you guys ever formed a certain bond with somebody through this where it's just kind of makes you all warm and fuzzy inside?
Yeah, I don't know if they can request. I believe they can actually request a certain driver, but I'm not certain of that. Yes, I have established some bonds because what happens is sometimes you wind up taking the same person repeatedly.
Yeah.
And so now you get to know them. You know exactly where their house is. You know where they stand. They recognize your car immediately as you're driving down the road. And I have to tell you, once in a while, I have a patient who becomes very emotional, which
Yeah.
I completely understand. They're facing death at this point.
Yeah.
I've actually asked, can I just pray with you for a moment?
Wow.
And all of a sudden now I'm just praying with them in the car. Not while I'm driving, but, at that moment, yes. So it's been wonderful. I think you're connecting, you're touching people's lives at a very crucial moment in their lives that is pretty rare. So I think it's extremely rewarding to do this.
Wow. The thing you said about, can I pray with you? That hit me right in the heart. That's very powerful. And whatever religion somebody might believe in, I think there's something still powerful of just being with somebody and praying together. Even if you might be completely different religions, but here you are praying together with the same energy and the same force and believing in the power of that connection. That's awesome. That's something that can't be replicated. So that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. Maribel, do you have anything to add on with your experiences?
Yes, of course. I think it's very common when we live close by the person, as Dewey mentioned it. We get familiar with them, and you know that, for example, the person might need ride daily for 9 weeks, and maybe you can share your Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's, for example, what I do. I said, okay, I want to drive Tuesday and Thursday this patient, and then it's very easy for me just to know where I'm going and what time, and know the patients and everything, and just driving to the center, and then sometimes I just run like a quicker run and I come back for the patient and drive them back home, their homes. But yeah, of course, you connect with them and they share their stories and they share why, how do they feel and why do they need the rides, and it's just very nice. They open their hearts in a very difficult moment in their lives, and they are so appreciative of all the support they can have. And they said, in the past I was just talking, but now I listen what people want.
Yeah.
And I listen, but really listening. I mean, with all my senses. And it's very nice. It's beautiful for me as a volunteer to do it. And just meeting so many beautiful people around the way and when they most need it. And there is a lot of connections with that.
That's awesome. And that's it kind of makes things a little easier for you guys in that case if you find something that's that consistent where you can stick with them, you build up that relationship. In the end, though, it's a very vulnerable time for these people, as you guys have seen. So the fact that they are willing to open up to you guys, and the fact you literally open up to them, you're opening your car doors to them. It's an incredible bond, and especially in such a hard time. Well, hey, Maribel, Dewey, I want to say thank you so much for you both coming in. Before we completely wrap things up, Maribel, again, what is the best way for people to learn more about Road to Recovery, whether they need the rides or they want to be a driver themselves?
Of course, if you are a patient or a caregiver and you really want to request a ride, please call our 800 number. That is the best way to connect with us. And it's 24/7. You can call anytime, and always a person is going to answer the phone. And the phone number is 1-800-227-2345. And also, we also have our website that is www.cancer.org, and you can /drive, and you can find all the information about how to become a driver and how questions about the program, about the training, or about anything that you might have questions about. And if you call our 800 number, you will be able to talk with somebody, and they will give you the answer you are looking for.
No, that's very good. And all of these links and phone numbers are going to be available on the In Touch tab of the website that you are listening on. Again, thank you so much, guys, for coming on. Is there any last thing that you want to share, especially for the new year, with our listeners?
Maybe a frequently asked question. Maybe it isn't frequently asked.
All right, let's go for it.
If anybody has any privacy concerns, you're thinking, oh, what are the legalities? I'm driving a stranger in my personal car. American Cancer Society actually is the secondary insurer of these drives. Hopefully everybody who drives a car has insurance.
Hopefully.
So that's going to be primary. But the American Cancer Society does provide backup insurance, shall we say. That's number one. Number two, the American Cancer Society, their operators act as the go-between. So you don't have to give out your cell number or your home number if you don't. You don't give out your home address. What I do personally is I like to make a personal connection with my prospective ride. I actually call them up the day before, introduce myself. I give them my cell number. I say, if there's any problems, give me a ring. I also just happen to mention, I have a small, compact car. Are you comfortable with that?
Smart.
Realizing that there are some patients who may not be comfortable in a tiny little car.
That's smart.
Maybe you can't get in and out. So I just kind of warn them up front. I try and make it as personal as possible and to make a connection with the people. So that's my take.
Well, I'm glad that you added that in. That is very important. Fantastic. I think that pretty much does it for this episode of In Touch. Maribel, Dewey, thank you so much for your time and everything that you're doing with Road to Recovery.
Thank you.
This has been this week's edition of In Touch, the public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. We want to give a big thank you to Maribel and Dewey. To learn more about the Road to Recovery program, you can call the 24/7 hotline 1-800-227-2345 or visit cancer.org/drive. Of course, all links and information can be found in the description of this episode. In Touch keeps growing and growing. I'm excited to announce that you can now stream In Touch wherever you listen to podcasts. That's right, you can find In Touch episodes new and old on your favorite streaming services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Of course, you can still find all articles and audio under the In Touch tab on this radio station's app and website. And don't forget, we are also on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at InTouch_HV. We are booking guests for 2023. I can't believe it's the new year already. Whether you have a topic you want discussed or you want to be a guest, the best way to contact us is through our office number at 845-471-1500 or email direct to connor.walsh@townsquaremedia.com. That's Connor with one N. I've been your host, Connor Walsh. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time. Again, Happy New Year.